So, welcome to online teaching. Today we are going to learn poem Unit 2, poem Casuarina, written by Toru Dutt. First I will give a gist about the poet Toru Dutt. She was born on March 1856. She died on 31st August 1877. Her full name was Toru Dutt. She was a Bengali poet. She was the youngest child of her parents. She had a brother named Abju and a sister named Aru. She was a cousin of Ramesh Chandra Dutt. She used to write in English, French and Bengali. Her family became Christian in 1862. She got educated in London. Last 4 years of her life, she wrote A Ship Gleamed in French Field and Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan. So, Hindustan means India. She wrote about France and French, and as well as she wrote about our Indian nation. So, she given importance for our nation as she is born and brought, and later she settled in France. Okay. Toru Dutt 1856 to 1877 was a Bengali poet from Indian subcontinent who wrote in English and French. The Dutt family was a family of distinguished intellectuals and poets. Toru, with all her exposure to and involvement in Western life and culture, loved the land of her birth and remained thoroughly Indian in her conscience and sensibility. So, even she led a life in a foreign country, she given importance for our nation and tradition, culture, custom and other things. And her consciousness and sensibility is very important about India. She loved India much. Even a tree made her mind to love India. Besides her well-known collections of poems with the title Ancient Ballads and Legends of Hindustan. So, she had given life for and love for her nation, and she started writing a poem. She has to her credit a volume of poems in French titled Ship Gleamed in French Fields. In 1875, our Casuarina tree, the most well known of Toru's poem, was included in her miscellaneous poem. Okay. Our Casuarina tree was published in 1881. It is an autobiographical touch based on sentiments. It has 5 stanzas and each stanza has 11 lines. The most well known of Toru's poem was included in her miscellaneous poem. This poem reveals the influence of Keats on her. You know, Keats also had a family problem, and that all were kept in mind, and he was narrating all the poem and writing all the poem the same way. Casuarina poem also gives the feeling of Toru Dutt and her missing brother and sister, how she feels for them, and the love for the nation, and a symbol, the tree made as a symbol for the tree India, and the tradition, custom and other things all had been collaborated and just made as a poem. The first 2 stanzas are imaginative and sensuous description of the Casuarina tree, rebuilt with imagery taken from the nature. The Casuarina tree is tall and strong with a creeper winding around it like a python. The tree stands like a giant with the colorful scarves of flowers. Birds surrounded the garden and the sweet song of the birds is heard. The poet is delighted to see the Casuarina tree through her casement. So, here she stands in the casement and watches what is happening. So, the poem is very big. It has 11 lines each stanza and 5 stanza there. We are going to see only first stanza. I made separated 5 parts of the poem, and first part is the first stanza. We will learn thoroughly the first stanza and we will go part by part. So, today we will be learning part 1. Our Casuarina tree, like a huge python winding round and round, The rugged trunk hinted deep its scars, up to its very summit near the stars. A creeper climbs in whose embrace bound, no other tree could live but gallantly. The giant wears a scarf, and flowers are hung, in crimson clusters all the boughs among, whereon all days are gathered, bird and bee, and often at nights the garden overflow, with one sweet song that seems to have no close, sung darkling from a tree while men repose. So this is the poem. The first line tells very clearly that like a huge python. So you have not seen a python. So this is a python, and see how it had been just rounded and rounded the tree. The same way the winding round and round, the climbers were round and round and round the tree, and the climbers mark was seen in the tree. The rugged trunk of the tree, it sees a deep scarf. Scarf means somewhere where you will be a mark, something was rounded, and when you remove and see, you will be seeing the mark of it. So like that, intended deep with scars. The rugged trunk was having a scar or a mark of the creeper which round and round made it. Up to its very summit near the stars, a creeper climbs in whose embrace bound. No other tree could live but gallantly. So here no other tree will be living like a Casuarina tree. It is so brave, bold, and facing all the storm, wind, everything, and just standing. So here she says that no thing will be gallantly means bravely. So it was just having such a brave and bold nature. The tree is having a brave and bold nature and standing. The giant wears the scarf. So here the tree had been compared to giant. Tree is compared here to giant. Wears, what the tree wears? A scarf, and flowers are hung. So the round and round, the climbers were just rounding and rounding and rounding. It looks like a scarf. You know, somebody will be wearing a scarf, very colorful, and it will be embroidered, decorated. The climbers were having a colorful, what color? Crimson clusters, all boughs among. Boughs means branches. Among, whereon all day are gathered, bird and bee. So the giant is compared to tree without as and like, so it is metaphor. So what is that? Metaphor. Here like is there, so it is simile. Round and bound is rhyming words. Close and repose, overflows. Gallantly meaning bravely. So the giant wears the scarf. The giant here is tree. The tree is compared to giant without as and like, so it is metaphor. Scarf, and flowers are hung. In that climbers, flowers are hanging, they are hung. What is the color of it? It is crimson. Crimson means red in color. Red or pink like that, reddish pink like that. Cluster means group or a bunch. All the boughs among, boughs means branch. Among, whereon all day are gathered, bird and bee. So when more trees are there, what will be there? There will be birds and bees, all will be there for their flowers. So all the birds and bees were gathered all day, from morning to evening, they will be just going around the trees. And often at nights, the garden overflow. Even in the nights, the garden will be overflow with the birds and birds' songs, with one sweet song that seems to have no close. Till night, morning, all the time the birds will be singing, and that song will be, nightingale song will be heard. It will be continuous, overflows. Overflows means continuous, continuous. It continues all day and night with one sweet song that seems to have no close, sung darkling from our tree while men repose. What do you mean by repose? Repose means taking rest. Men will be taking rest, they will be in the bed taking rest. Sung darkling from our tree. So, from the tree there will be a song sung and the birds will be singing all day and night, but what the human being will be doing? While men were repose. Repose means taking rest. Alliteration. Our Casuarina tree, alliteration like a huge python winding round and round. So, round and round is a creeper climbs in whose embrace bound, in crimson clusters all the boughs among, in overall all days are gathered bird and bee. Hyperbole is also another figure of speech up to its very summit near the stars with one sweet song that seems to have no close. Imagery, the rugged trunk intended deep its scar, no other tree could live, but gallantly the giant was wears the scarf and flowers are hung, and often at nights the garden overflow, sung darkling from our tree while men repose. So, gallantly means bravely or heroically, repose means a state of rest. Thank you children, you know that we have made the poem first part, we will continue in the second part. Thank you children.